All right, so we have drilled down on Michigan a lot this week, and there's no new scandal news, right? So, and I've done it. Like I've tried it. We've done it to death. And look, as soon as there's new news and there's a suspension or not, or an attempt at not, we'll certainly get into it. But I do think we've. And this is probably all of us nationally in college football have kind of looked over like the fact that this is their best opponent that they've played by a long shot this year in Penn State. And Penn State has a legit, like, choke you out defense. Just absolutely do that. They do not have the playmakers on offense.
No.
If Penn State pulls this off, it is going to be they're going to channel the doomsday defense and the purple people eaters and all this to where, nobody's going to, Michigan's not going to be able to move the ball. They're going to get after J.J. McCarthy. They're going to have to lock things down. And I think that will happen early on in this game for a good while. But I just don't think that when it flips, that Drew Aller and that offense – and they've got potential, but Drew Aller he's here right now, right?
Yes.
He's here. J.J. McCarthy is here. And I think that is what's going to make the difference is that you've got a guy who's a legitimate first-round pick this year who's going to be able to make first-round draft pick plays because he's got Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards and Roman Wilson on the outside, and he's got these, NFL offensive linemen that even on the toughest scoring drives are going to be elite. And Michigan has just been elite and rolling over people all year, sign stealing notwithstanding. They have been that good. So I think that there is potential for Penn State to muddy the water a lot, Garrett, but I honestly don't think that they can get over the hump because Michigan has just been so damn good.
They have. I think Manny Diaz is going to just go in his bag this week. And if you go back and look at the Ohio State game, because that's really about the only comparison you can draw, Penn State didn't lose that because of their defense. That was their offense couldn't get anything going. I think it's going to be eerily similar. And for Penn State to win this game, you're going to need to generate turnovers on defense. The scoop and score that got called back, that was really the difference. I think that killed all the momentum for Penn State against Ohio State. You're going to need those types of plays. And you're also going to need, kick returns and stuff because I don't trust Drew Aller. But I think this is going to be a low-scoring affair, and Michigan probably pulls away in the fourth quarter. But I think I'm interested to see how Manny Diaz approaches this because he's already taking shots on social media and making little videos and everything. So that's the matchup I'm going to be intrigued with. I trust Penn State's defense to make things difficult for McCarty, but he's just so good that I think ultimately his game is going to play out and be the difference.
Yeah, I think that you've got good potential here for Penn State to give with Ohio State. They're right there. All they needed was two good drives. Two good drives. And Ohio State showed on their on the defensive end how good they are. I'm very curious to see how the game goes when Michigan and Ohio State play 2 weeks from now. But I think that Penn State will give Michigan their first charge. Where Michigan's going to get challenged is when they play teams that are because they're not particularly fast.
No, but they're in the trenches. That's the
trenches.
difference.
They've got. I'm not going to say they don't have speed, but if you look at the other teams that could potentially be, and Michigan could play any one of these teams in the college football playoff. How it works out right now, but if you look at Georgia, Oregon, Washington, Florida State, Texas, and Alabama. Those are the teams that I think you can kind of reasonably say could all wind up in the playoff right now. Mm. If you look at all those teams, those are the teams that, because nobody they've played, including Penn State, will have that kind of speed and that athleticism. That is the challenge I want to see for Michigan is when they get in the CFP, all right, can you withstand and how different is it when you play Jordan Travis, Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, Trey Benson, or Carson Beck and Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers, and can you withstand that?
Right.
Because that's how TCU beat them.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
That's how TCU beat them was they had Quentin Johnston and Darius Davis and Kendry Miller and a quarterback in Max Duggan who very athletic and very tough and very much a gamer and Jared Wiley, like all those things, they were matched, right? And then eventually beaten. You know, they were beaten in that game because there was that athleticism. Now, they will, like, if it was the WWE and we're talking about, like, the Royal Rumble,
right.
I'm taking Michigan against anybody every time. And I might take Michigan against everybody right now, but where, you know, the other teams have that advantage, where Ohio State has that advantage, is that they've got speed on the outside and they've got athletes that Michigan just has not seen this year. Penn State, I don't think, does.
They don't.
And unless they've been laying in wait for this moment, and then we'll see the breakout. But I think that's going to be the big difference.
Well, that's the thing that kind of hinders Michigan right now is because when you look at how, especially this year, with how their schedule has been, they only get one opportunity to be tested by teams like that, and that's when they play Ohio State. I think going forward with how the Big Ten's going to look with the Oregons and Washingtons and USC and them coming in, I think that's going to benefit Michigan in the long run because they're going to have to adapt throughout the year to face teams like that. And once they get into the playoff, it'll help them. But right now, when you only see it like once, yeah, it's hard to adjust on the fly, and that's when you really got to rely on your talent. But I don't know if their secondary really, I think that's the key, is I don't know if they have the people in the secondary to match like Washington's receiving core, player for player. I just don't.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think they have it.
Like if you've got Adunze and Polk and McMillan and all these guys out there, and Michael Penix sitting there. I think that's going to be the big question. Like Michigan is beating everybody so badly. Like I don't think that all of a sudden they're going to play Georgia or Texas or somebody that has these athletes and be like, Yeah. But that'll be the we're in for it now.
Yep.
And I think Ohio State's the best shot. The thing is, Ohio State at quarterback, they're
down.
They're a little bit down. Like I think Kyle McCord's probably going to be a fine player, but
he's not what they've had.
But he's
at this point.
He's not Justin Fields or C.J. Stroud. Let's be honest. So, and they beat C.J. Stroud twice, but they do have those playmakers that will give them problems.